Hey guys. So I guess until you guys start filing in and want to talk about Bernie demolishing his opponents in the Nevada caucus, I will just regale you with a story of my day. So part of it's really funny for those of you who watch this, after it's recorded live. Uh, you'll get to enjoy the story. Those of you who just jump in live and then don't go back and listen to what I said, you're going to be missing something really really funny. So this morning, I was on my way to work and I was cutting it close with time. You know, really didn't have much time to do anything else, and I needed to jump in the truck and just go. And I opened the door and I look down and there's a dog in the middle of the street. And I look both ways, there's no owner. And I'm like, oh my goodness, dog. I can't leave a dog in the middle of the street. And this was such a nice little dog. It was, it looked like a mix between a corgi and an Australian shepherd. It was so cute. Um, Kind of like uh, Lassie, only with very, very short legs, you know? And I picked up the dog. It wanted to go in the truck with me, but I was like, okay, first I'm gonna try to see if one of my neighbors, real quick, will take the dog and call the number on the dog's tag and do this for me because I got to get to work. So I go over to my neighbor's house, knock on the door, ring their doorbell, which had a camera on it. It was one of those ring camera doorbells. And a lady comes to the door, but she doesn't open it, right? So uh, she doesn't open the door, and she doesn't come out to talk to me, and she looks at me really, really strange because you know what? In America, nobody talks to their neighbors, right? I don't know this lady. This was the first time I'd ever been that close to her, but she was the one whose house I thought the dog had come from. So I chose her house, and I was like, "Hello, is this your dog?" And then she's like, "No." I was like, "Okay, would you mind calling the number on the tag to see if we could find the owner because I just found this dog wandering around right here in the street." And so she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she goes back into the house to go get her cell phone, comes back, not opening the door. She's like, "What's the number on the tag?" Right? I'm like, "Okay, hold on," you know. And I tell her the number on the first tag, and it was the number to a pet hospital, right? And so it wasn't the number for the people that would own the dog. I looked at the dog. I was like, "Well, thank you very much. I think I'll just have to deal with this by getting in touch with the animal hospital later because she wasn't opening the door to take the dog, right? This is my problem because I found the dog." I was like, "Oh, whatever." And I was like, "Well, dog, you're coming with me because I had 2 minutes to solve the problem really quickly. And that was all the spare 2 minutes I had. I needed to jump in my truck and go to work. So I'm driving to work, and at a red light, I reach over and I look at the dog's collars, and I find that there actually was a different phone number on one of them. I call the number, and it's the owner of the dog, and he's at work, right? And I'm already on my way to work across town, right? And he's his work is actually the opposite direction. And so I was like, well, you don't really have to go all the way to where my work is. I can just take this dog through my work day, and I just didn't want to see him get hit, right? And he thanked me for that, but I didn't want to have him have to miss his work, and um, he seemed kind of strange, because never met him before, don't know who he is, didn't know which house in the neighborhood he was in, right? So I ended up taking this dog through three sessions of therapy, group therapy that I was running as a hired gun. And the dog was the star of each one of those sessions. This was a dog that, like, it could maybe be an emotional support dog with like no training. And every time someone was talking and they started to get a little serious and somber, the dog would go over to that person and want to get some attention from that person. And it really was a helpful thing in those sessions. Um, Corny wants to know why I started streaming 7 minutes early. Uh, it just happened 7 minutes before midnight. Uh, I've been trying to be a little bit earlier for the things that I want to get done because, uh, well, I've been late to a couple things because of uh, unforeseen circumstances, and then you know I beat myself up about it. Nobody's beat me up about it. But anyways, the dog goes through uh, three therapy sessions, gets passed through the hands of maybe 50 people, and then I get home and I take the dog to the house where it's supposed to be, and nobody's there. And I try calling the number on the dog's dog tag again. Nobody left me any messages or texts or anything, and nobody was answering the phone. I'm like, wow, for people who've lost a dog, they certainly aren't interested in getting it back. And so I walked home, and Misty uh, took over because she actually, on a previous occasion, had uh, found this dog wandering around. So apparently, this dog is like a little escape artist. And yeah, she went and kept calling one of the numbers and finally got a hold of them and took the dog to the home. And uh, I felt better that she was the one that eventually delivered the dog to their home because she had previous experiences with them, and maybe now they'll have this feeling of, oh my goodness, somebody knows that we're really horrible dog parents, that have let our dog get loose more than once. Um, so yeah, that was really not me being what I feel like I'm inherently on the inside as a good person. That was actually me looking at a dog on my way to work and going, shit, what would Misty do? And then I look over, and then there's a leash inside of uh, the vehicle because she puts spare leashes in every vehicle we have, just in case we come across a stray dog that needs to be uh, taken back to its owner because she doesn't want to see any dogs get into any car accidents. And really, it's just the influence of having a dog lover, an extreme dog lover in my life, that I had these thoughts that I needed to do this. Um, Now, in hindsight, I think what I'm going to do is take a picture of the dog tag so I have the number, and then I'm just going to put the dog in my backyard where it's fenced in and dog couldn't get out, and then I'll just go to work and call them and say, hey, this is my address, and you can just go to the side gate and open the gate, and there will be your dog. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of people in the chat saying I killed the dog, I shot the dog. In the end, you ran over the dog. No, no, the dog was fine. I even got the dog a cup of water and put it down in the therapy sessions, and the dog drank some water. And I took the dog on a little dog walk in between sessions so that it wouldn't pee in the therapy rooms. I was like, you need to keep on lifting your leg, dog, because you need to be piss and dust because I don't want you to pee at all on those carpets. Alan wants to know how old was it. I would guess 3 or 4. That's my best guess. No grays at all. And that's the story of me saving the life of a dog that otherwise might have walked down the street and got hit by a car. That's just one instance of this. Driving around with Misty, oftentimes we come across different animals that need to be rescued. And in fact, almost around the same time, because she had already left for a little photography trip, she came across a stray cat in an abandoned house. And she was going to try to save it, but it ran. Well, she said it ran on the other side of an electrified fence. So she was like, well, it doesn't want to be saved today. Some of the people I ran into today said, that dog is mine. And like they all fell in love with it. So um, it was a nice dog and very much therapeutic. I can see how it brings joy to the family that has it. Now Alan's like R.A.P. cat. Yeah, well, cats in the eastern rural areas here in Colorado are not as loved as house cats in the city. Um, in the eastern plains, there's a lot of farms where the farmers don't feed their cats. They expect their cats to eat mice. And so, like, if they do ever feed their cat, they just throw a handful of food in the grass outside, and they expect the cats to just procreate and create more cats so they have a little army of mousers, you know, and they don't sometimes they don't name the cats because they don't care about the cats. They just let the cats hang out in the barn and whatnot. Um, Poseidon's here, and he wants me to get back to talking about politics, which I'm okay with today. He says, have you been watching the corporate Democrat meltdown on MSNBC? They're in full panic mode. Uh, Matthews and James Carville are beyond hilarious. I have not been watching that at all. I have been doing homework assignments about the DSM criteria for depression and bipolar disorder, and also looking at people's proposals for doing group therapy projects. But I had been checking the results, and Misty and I and Amberger, we went to a Mexican restaurant tonight, and in that restaurant, I thought we were going to see Wilder versus Fury 2, but it was like the pre-show for boxing, and then it went to like basketball, and then I was during that time I was refreshing the results, which don't come in as quickly as I would want them to. And in fact, here I go again, thinking, you know what, it'd be a good thing to look at these results. Let's see. Uh, Last I looked, it was 43% in. It's 50% reported now, and Bernie Sanders is winning by 46.6% is his take, and the next closest is Joe Biden at 90 or 19.2%. Um, yeah, Sanders is more than double what the next guy in the race has, and so I think that really counts as domination of the the Nevada caucus. Um, I think going forward, I mean, he won New Hampshire, he got the popular vote in Iowa, and he is winning in Nevada. You know, that's a lot of delegates he's already amassed. And I think he's probably going to make it past the 50% mark as far as delegates gathered, just because of being uh, he'll he's so popular now, and I think if you look at the breakdown of the first alignment and the second alignment, as far as the way that the caucus works with the actual delegates, you'll see that Bernie was the only one who gained uh, from all of the other people in the second alignment. So, like, people are supposed to, like, if they're not going to be supporting the candidate that they first came there for, in the first alignment, they're supposed to go to a different candidate, and they're allowed to go to a different candidate that didn't make the viability cut in order to make them over the viability. And what happened was Andrew Yang's little tiny support all went to Bernie, and it plays out in the numbers. But what also happened, which was weird, is uh, Biden had like 100 delegates leave him after the first alignment to go to other candidates. But the same thing happened to Warren and Buttigieg, and uh, what you can't really see by the total breakdown is where all of the other delegates went, other than maybe they only showed up for the first alignment and then went home. Like maybe like because the totals don't add up. In the second alignment, there's less delegates than there is in the first, and all of the other delegates lose. Uh, sorry, all of the other candidates lose delegates, right? But Bernie Sanders gains delegates, but the amount of delegates that everybody else lost does not add up to what Bernie went up by. So, like, hundreds of people had to have just gone home thinking, well, I did the first round, fuck it, let's go get dinner, you know? Poseidon says they'd commit party suicide if they try to deny Bernie the nomination at the convention. Um, At this point, I would say you're correct. Now, there are other primaries, and Super Tuesday is coming up. And I'd wait on that because this is an unprecedented uh, showing as far as the first three races, uh, the first three states. South Carolina could very well go to Biden. He might actually have that one. Super Tuesday, we'll have to see what the results are, but like, yeah, it feels stronger than when Ron Paul was screwed. You know, it feels stronger than the last time Bernie Sanders was screwed. This movement looks like there's no stopping Bernie Sanders. Um, Nick just got here saying who won. Who won is a Google search away. Just go to Nevada results. Um, Alan says, I heard Bernie was being supported by Putin too. You know, it's a right wing talking point that became a left wing talking point because they just want to associate him with anything different that people already hate. Uh, Corny says, will there be an election if there is a pandemic? Um, I don't know. I'm of the I'm of the opinion that the pandemic is already upon us and that nobody is talking about it. It's a strange opinion, but hear me out here. The symptoms being so flu-like that people will not seek out treatment. You know, the logarithmic scale to which these things grow, and we know they do, versus the number of cases we've seen and then no logarithmic growth reported. Um, we could possibly be in the pandemic and people are just faring better than uh, the initial statistics that they put forth said. They're like, oh, well, 5% of people die from this thing. Well, we're not seeing that, are we? You know, of course, the kind of talks that I have with people are well into the category of conspiracy theory about coronavirus, and I cannot elaborate a lot. Like when you guys talk about that, I'm thinking, oh, I had this discussion with somebody that I can't talk about the things that I discussed with them. So I'm always thinking about, like, well, is there some other place where I would be able to find this information to share with you other than talking about a conversation I've had? Because that's not going to work. Um, a little bit more professional than that. So, yes, Poseidon said Russiagate 2.0 launched the day before the Nevada vote. And I did see a couple of news articles pop up saying, oh, Bernie's supported by Russia. And I'm like, prove it. Like, what proof do you have? Oh, and then you read further down in the articles, and they're all like, well, you know that Russia likes meddling, and they just try to sow uh, animosities into our discourse, and that's how they're acting. And all of the evil Bernie bros could be Russian actors. My ass is dragging. Says Bernie wasn't screwed because he got 4 million votes fewer than Hillary. Um, this is true. More true of Trump v. Hillary. But yeah, Bernie had not gained all of the delegates that Hillary had, and so he didn't win in the primary. It's that simple if you want to make it that way. But I think the real reason why Bernie was screwed from the get go, and screwed is used very lightly there, but is because that Hillary had most of the super delegates sewn up before Bernie even declared his candidacy. She had an extreme head start in making deals so that she would become the nominee, and that was something that most of the other candidates had no chance of doing. If you were to look at the Hillary Victory Fund, I'm surprised that uh, Republicans didn't make more of this, but they were never in favor of election reform or getting money out of politics. But the Hillary Victory Fund was basically how she bought all those super delegates, and it was a workaround for campaign finance reforms that were passed by Democrats. But she found a loophole to where her very, very rich donors could donate to state campaigns in each and every state. And what she had to do in order to make that work, where the funds would go directly to her campaign via transfer, was she had to have the Democratic Party in each state be on board. And what she finally got was like over 30 of them decided to play ball with this. And so she would have her very rich donors who could only donate like a maximum of a certain amount of thousands of dollars. Their donations could just go to 30 plus different states and then get transferred to her, and she could get a lot more money out of one rich donor. So um, that was another way that she was screwing Sanders, because she was not abiding by the spirit of why that campaign finance reform had been enacted in the first place. And then there's Bernie, who's getting like an average of under $30 from each and every person who gave money to his campaign, because he didn't need those super rich donors to give millions at a time to him. That's that's I'd say a stacked deck. But he's actually this time around still got the same game plan, same grassroots donations, and he's coming out ahead. I think it's just because of people being more familiar with his politics. So Rubber Wilbur's here, and he says, so it was okay when the establishment was using Russiagate on Trump, but now it's on Bernie. Then we get affected. What's good for the goose? Uh, well, you know what? Corey's writing in Cyrillic, Russian. That's fucking funny. But yeah, uh, I guess I don't care about the allegation being lodged against Bernie that Russia might want to try to support him because he'd be more in line with what their needs are. That's fine. Um, Part of it is speculation, and it's just blatant and obvious, and part of it can be debunked. Part of it may be true, you know. But what is true is that the timing of the allegation uh, was probably such because right after the New Hampshire primary, um, Bernie Sanders looked like he was on fire, and his support was growing, And now in Nevada, he has this crushing victory over Joe Biden, where he's got more than twice the percentage of votes that Joe Biden has. So I think that's why the timing of those stories came out. And I really think that anyone who's in the lead is going to get uh, similar treatment from the media. Anyone who's surging just a little bit is going to be scrutinized by the media. Whenever they're on top, that's when they are the topic of the day. You know, let's see. And my ass is dragon says Hillary's deal was that she would use her fundraising to help down ticket candidates. Bernie has never done anything for any other candidate than himself. Um, I'm going to agree that Hillary did say she was going to help down ticket candidates. And one of the ways she did it was she not only had the Hillary Victory Fund funnel money to her, but as soon as she had the uh, delegate vote pledged for her in public ways, she would help other people with their candidacy. So it was very much a pay to play style scenario. Now, Bernie, having never done anything for any other candidate, I think is not true, but it's mostly true. Like that whole pants on fire meter that PolitiFact has. I mean, I could, off the top of my head, name a few instances that Bernie has stuck up for other candidates, Tulsi Gabbard being one of them. Um, and in the end, Bernie actually did endorse Hillary Clinton. In my opinion, way too late. He should have done it sooner than he did, and he did not. But eventually, he did endorse her, which was supposed to help her. And yeah, he only endorsed her when he saw, that he was not going to, by any way possible, get the number of delegates he would need to win, and that she had won. Um, but not a moment before that. Not when it might have helped her a little bit more in being able to beat Trump. He was in it to win it. Uh, and he has helped out other candidates in the past. It's just, the few times that I could point to are not as much as Hillary Clinton helping candidates left and right. Joe Biden helping Democratic candidates left and right. And one of the reasons for this is Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat until he's running for president and needs a vehicle to get elected. Outside of these presidential runs, Bernie Sanders is an independent. And he actually has a lot of derision for the Democratic establishment as well as the Republican establishment. So um, I think that, like, you say that he's never uh, helped out down ticket candidates. I say he has sparingly, but what he did that was even worse for the Democratic Party was he was making that stance as an independent to say, I disagree with what's going on with the Democratic Party. And he did so for like 30 fucking years, you know, of not wanting to be a part of them. He would caucus with them in uh, the House and in the Senate. He would like vote with them in their block. Basically that I was saying, yeah, I'm left leaning and progressive, but I find problems in the Democratic Party, and I'm going to be independent just because I have these grudges against the Democratic Party in particular. That's what was hurting downstream candidates for 30 fucking years, was that he was vocal about his misgivings about the Democratic Party. Static Void wants to know why I keep showing up in as recommended. Well, if you keep clicking on the link and you have clicked on the link within 30 days, uh, if you've watched one of my videos within 30 days, whenever I go live, you're much more likely to have me be recommended to you. If you can starve yourself of watching me for 30 fucking days, just ignore the links, ignore all the suggestions. Then, when I upload videos, you might not see them even if you're subscribed to me. That's how it works. Poseidon says, if you plan on going to the Democrat convention in Milwaukee, I recommend you wear a helmet. It's going to make Chicago in 1968 look like a Boy Scout jamboree. Uh, I'm going to be a delegate at the county, the congressional, the judicial, and the state level, if I can. Now, the national level, what happens is if you don't know other people, if you're not, if you don't hold office right now or just know a whole bunch of other delegates, you are not getting one of those seats to the DNC. It's just not fucking happening. So I don't have any um, fantasies that I'm ever going to make that happen, especially not this year, because I don't know a lot of the other delegates, and also because I have grad school to think about. I'm putting in a lot of hours in a internship practicum right now, and yeah, I don't have a lot of time for that. Is saying that the people do not agree with Bernie after Nevada, when the votes say the opposite. I think what Pete is trying to say is that he's not happy that Bernie Sanders' existence creates a litmus test, right? And that litmus test is, are you for free education? Are you for Medicare for all? Right? And if you're not, then you are a different type of Democrat that progressive Democrats do not want to vote for. And he thinks that that's divisive. Well, Bernie Sanders, the independent, the one with the I next to his name, only uh, when he's running for president does he ever have a D. He is changing the platform planks of the party, which does create division. But what Pete is not getting to with the lie by omission is whether or not that's a good thing for America. Also, in the debates, Pete lied about uh, lying by omission. He lied about the cost that people would incur for having Medicare for all being the law of the land, because uh, you take the raise and taxes that you have to do on everyone, and then you subtract all of the premiums, the monthly payments people make to their health care and all that, and you find out, oh, at the end of the year, you're paying slightly less than you would if you had a health insurance policy. Hmm. And yeah, I feel like when he was attacking Bernie, saying, "Oh, but your plan's going to raise taxes on people," he's not saying uh, the total cost at all. He's not going there. He's just saying, "You want to raise taxes on people? You can't raise taxes on people," which sounds very Republican. And Corny says, with Sanders being older than Egyptian mummy, I would not be surprised him having a heart attack on the debate stage. His mind still seems spry enough for the job. I would say that he actually seems more spry in his mind than Donald Trump. But like you, I do worry about his age. I think that it's not going to sway my vote. I'm still going to vote for who I think has the right policy positions. And I would hope that if something were to happen when he was in office, that he would have a good backup to carry on with his legacy. But uh, yeah, it does give me pause to see how old our current president and our prospective president are. And Alan says that Bernie keeps yelling like an insane person. To me, every time Bernie yells, it sounds like, "Hey, you kids, get off my lawn!" You know, like he's gonna go out and get a hose and spray the dogs that are humping in his front yard so that they'll leave. That's what he sounds like to me. But you know, he's making sense. Anyways, I'm really, really tired after saving the lives of dogs and watching a whole bunch of politics and whatnot, and watching Deontay Wilder uh, lose to Tyson Fury in a way where I was like, he still had a little bit of fight left in him before his uh, corner threw in the towel. I don't know about this. I mean, yeah, he was probably going to get knocked the fuck out, but, you know, I hate to see it when the corner is throwing in the towel, but the fighter still wants to fight. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I was going to actually not even post a real video, like, or a live video today. I was going to actually make a video about urinalysis wands. They're actually the device that helps a female urinalysis observer to collect the urine of somebody. And if I can make that video, it'll be one of those days that I don't want to go live for an hour, that I will upload the video. But basically, I'm going to just film how those wands work, even though it'll be just simulated. There won't be any actual female client peeing in the video. I just felt like it's an interesting video to show people because the apparatus is something like, if you haven't ever seen it, but you were a girl and you had to do a urinalysis for work, then the place that was doing that urinalysis was probably uh, so lax that they did not want to follow procedure. And I think that that's very prevalent in the industry, that uh, the observers go in the room with people and they don't even look. And especially, I have had clients that, on the male side, that immediately turn their back to me and try to pee into a toilet sideways to where they're hiding what their you know trouser snake looks like. And I am the world's greatest expert and what is or is not a fake penis. And in order for me to employ my expertise, I actually have to see what's going on. So, yeah, when I see a client that has had multiple UA drops before doing those activities before I even get started, what it tells me is um, they're used to it that way, and that other people let them do it, and it's my guess that the female wands never get used. Never. Um, and I think just making a video showing how they would be used if they ever were would be pretty educational, I think. I've made similar videos, and you know, I get a different kind of crowd who watch them because they are not you guys, the regulars, but I like making odd videos just to, educate you all. Um, yeah, that's all I got for tonight. Too tired. So sorry. See you tomorrow.